Hello, hello, hello. I am just checking my mic to make sure it's working because I've had problems with that in the past. And yes, it looks like it's good. So today I'll be sharing the curriculum choices I've chosen for my ninth grader, my high schooler, my first high schooler as a homeschooler, my first high schooler period. So it's been a learning experience to say the least. So we're going to go over that if I don't get too distracted by my hair. It's looking kind of crazy. I'm trying something new with trying to find a hairstyle that fits me and won't bore you with all the details, but in looking at different body typing systems and all and trying to figure out where I lie and all that, it was recommended that for me and my face and body type to do kind of a set-in style like in the 1950s. So I set my hair last night on curlers, Velcro curlers. I don't recommend it. It was miserable to sleep on. I need to use foam rollers next time. So I took the rollers out this morning and my hair is just huge and big, and then trying to figure out how to manage it. I've got a ton of hair, really thick hair, and it already has this kind of natural curl wave to it. Um, so yeah, it's been odd. I keep looking in the mirror, not recognizing myself. But it's all in service of my midlife crisis. So I guess as I enter my 50s, I will be living like it's in the 1950s if I continue to do this set, these curler sets. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to see in this camera, just because the lighting, it's not a great camera, this webcam. So let me know what you think. But be kind. I'm not that vain, but I have feelings. So anyway, if I'm not too distracted by my own face and hair, we will get through this. I have a couple of things to show you, and I'll along the way I'll try to explain what credits I'm planning to assign to each of these things. And actually, some of the things I'll mention, a couple of the things or at least one of them. So just one, I think one or two of them. I'm not actually, he's not going to be doing for credit. It's just doing it just to learn. And so I'll point those out as well. If you're new to homeschooling high school like I am, I don't know if you can hear my dog. I'm sorry if you can, but she's barking at something outside and I just can't deal with it right now. So you may have to listen to her barking. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, it was recommended to me to go to, I think it's thehomescholar.com. And I purchased her course and all. I need to create transcripts and kind of course descriptions and all that. But I'm learning about homeschooling high school I think one of my kids brought in the dog thinking this. So I'm learning about homeschooling high school as I go along. I try to do a lot of prep. I've been trying to figure things out for the past couple of years, trying to prep for it. And then this past year, really try to study up on it. So if I make any errors along the way, anything I say to you about homeschooling high school, please forgive me. Please do your own research to know what you need to do to get your kids ready for college if they are possibly college bound. My son is possibly college bound, not for sure. But I just figured might as well work toward that so that if he does end up going to college, we'll be ready for it. All right, so let's get started. First slide. So these are the subjects I'm going to be going over that I've chosen curriculum options for them. A couple of them, like SAT prep, it's not something that's going to be for credit, but we're going to go ahead and do it because, why not? He needs the SAT prep. I mean, I think anybody does. So if you're wondering what we're going to be going over, these are the topics. Okay, so first up, math. So math, we're using Math-U-See, which is my favorite math curriculum. If you've seen any of my curriculum review videos in the past or curriculum option videos in the past, I may have mentioned my strong love of Math-U-See, and I have tried other programs. As a matter of fact, last year we used Power Homeschool for math, and I really regret it. I regret it at every level for all of my kids. He actually did Algebra 1 last year in Power Homeschool, and even though he got an A or B in it, I can't remember which, he got a good grade in it. I'm telling you, when he was finishing up, I'm realizing that he didn't really know the material as well as he needed to. Just my opinion. I mean, for sure, he didn't know the material as well as he needed to. But my opinion is that it was not worth the time. I feel like we wasted a year. My plan had been for him to do Algebra 1 last year because he was ready for it last year for 8th grade. And that way he'd be able to get up to calculus as a senior. But now I feel like we've lost a year, all of my kids, from doing Power Homeschool for math. And yeah, I do have some special needs in my homeschool. My 2 oldest kids are on the autism spectrum. My oldest also, my 9th grader, also has a language disorder. But still, across the board, I don't think it had to do with their special needs. I think it's a matter of, my opinion is that a workbook-based math curriculum is always going to be better. Because they're forced to have to sit there and write it out. I would try to get them to say, okay, even though the things are up on the screen, you need to write it out. I'd have a section in their binders for that with paper and all. But unless I was standing there over them to watch them, they wouldn't do it because they figure, well, why should I have to do that when I can just guess or do some things in my head? So they didn't build up good habits when it came to math, using any kind of computer-based math program. I've seen that in the past, and I saw it again this past year. I thought maybe since it was a different math curriculum, like, I really strongly dislike teaching textbooks for good reasons. Strongly dislike it. And I thought, well, let me try Math-U-See, or not Math-U-See, Power Homeschool, computer-based. And it was a wasted year. I really regret it. So we went back to Math-U-See this year for all of my kids. And that's what I'm sticking with. I just want to point out that it says here that it's the Legacy Edition. And let me grab this. So I just dropped a bunch of stuff. So anyway, this is actually the instruction manual. And then, as you see on the screen, you would get also the student workbook and the test workbook if you test. If you want to use the tests. And it's the Legacy Edition. There's another edition. When I talked to the Math-U-See guy at homeschool convention, I almost always order my Math-U-See curriculum through at our local homeschool convention, because I think you get a deal on shipping maybe. And also, if I have questions, I can just ask there. And so there's 2 different Algebra 1 versions. And my understanding was that the other Algebra 1 version was because whatever schools have used Math-U-See, they didn't like this version. He's like, it's fine. This is the version that's most like the other Math-U-See versions. But they created this other Algebra 1 version for these other schools, and that it was going to be very different. And so I chose to use the Legacy Edition because I wanted it to be familiar to my son. And so that's what I'm using. Okay. All right. So for English, all right. Almost forgot. So obviously math is going to be, this is going to go on his transcript, and it's going to be 1 credit. But then for English, I'm doing 2 things. We're using 2 different curriculum options for this. And together, I'll probably call them, they'll be on the transcript as like composition and grammar or something like that. And together, these 2 will be 1 credit, is my plan. So the first thing is writing. This is the composition portion of grammar and composition. So I'm using IEW Bible-based writing lessons. And this is because he's an experienced IEW writer. He went through the student writing intensive a few years ago. Now they changed their writing curriculum to be structure and style, which my other two are using. But when he was going through learning writing with IEW, he was using the student writing intensive. It's very similar. And then we've done a couple of other theme-based writing options like this one. So this one's the Bible-based one. We've done, I think, the Middle Ages one and like U.S. history-based one. So this year we're doing Bible-based writing lessons, and I like it. It's working out well for him. He's thankfully, since he's used the IEW curriculum, many times in the past, he doesn't really need a lot of help from me to do this, and which is a relief because it turns out that other high school subjects are kicking my butt. And we need a win somewhere along the way. Okay, and then for grammar, we're using Fix It Grammar. I did a little flip through of this on Instagram. Hopefully I saved it in my highlights. If you want to see a flip through of it, go to my Instagram account and see if you find it. If not, let me know, and if you're interested in seeing it, I can show you something, or maybe I can post it again. But anyway, I do like this a lot for the learning aspect of it. I do struggle with we need to sit down 4 days a week and go over it. So it's, especially for high school, it's a little more teacher intensive than I would prefer, but it is what it is, and it's worth it, I think, because of the quality of the curriculum. So this one's a 4-day-a-week one, and I don't know that we're going to be doing grammar again after this year. We'll probably move on to literature, other writing topics for the rest of high school. But I wanted to start off strong with a good writing curriculum and a good grammar curriculum, because those are weaknesses for him. And that way we can, he'll have all that learning fresh in his mind for the rest of high school. So that's what we're doing for grammar and composition. These two together, the Bible-based writing and Fix It Grammar, is going to be 1 credit. And then for social studies, I wanted to keep this easy, so we're using the ACE World Geography ACE. It's the School of Tomorrow, I believe is the website that you go to. And these are used in a lot of Christian private schools. So this is a Christian curriculum. And it's, as you see on the screen, it comes in these little booklets, which I really like. So that's worked out really well for us. Geography ended up being more difficult than I thought for him, because each of the booklets, from what I've seen so far, they focus, since this is geography, on a different part of the world. So like the last pace that he used, each of those booklets is called a pace. The last pace he used was, I think, on Africa, and part of the test was identifying all the countries in Africa, which I couldn't do, and he couldn't do it either. So that did not go well. So I would recommend if you use something like this, and this is, part of the study skills. I told him, you need to look at the self-test at the back of the book when you get the pace to see what's going to be expected of you. And that's a nice thing about this curriculum. There's checkups and self-test and a self-test at the end. So they can get a handle on, am I knowing this or not, and also helping them to know what to study. So I said, when you get it, you got to look at the back so that you have an idea of what you're going to need to know for the test and prepare for it during that 3-4 weeks that you're going through this pace. So when it comes to identifying countries and all, there's several apps you can use. So I pulled up a geography app for him to practice on, but pulling that up at the end, like right before the test, that's not going to work well. So like in the pace he's in right now, he's focusing on Canada, so he's going to need to know the provinces. So I had to find another app. The app we were using for geography wasn't working, didn't have the provinces in there. So I found another app, and so as soon as he got that pace, I scheduled for him each day to also practice identifying the provinces using that app. So I did have to supplement in that way. But at least those self-tests and all are there. I feel like it's pretty complete, and at least there's an idea. I feel like he's learning a lot of study skills by using these paces, this type of curriculum, because he's using it in a couple of other subjects. So that'll be a credit for the year for social studies. Now this Story of the World for world history, we've been doing Story of the World as a family. If you've seen a lot of my other videos, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of group subjects for my family in particular. Those don't go over too well. And so I try to limit those as much as possible, but I've continued using Story of the World as a group subject because of the way I'm using it now. The way we're doing it is I purchased the audiobook, and once a week or every other week, we just take our time going through this. We listen to the stories for one chapter. So it's usually between 1 and 3 stories that we listen to, and they're each, I don't know, about 4 or 5 minutes long. I guess, it varies, but just a few minutes long, and they're very interesting. And there are activity books and all that you can purchase, and there's a lot of things you can purchase to go along with the textbook or the audiobook. And I have used those in the past when the kids were younger, but as they've gotten older, like the last time I purchased the activity book and then lesson planned all these little crafty activities to go, that we just didn't enjoy it, and we stopped doing it. I think it was through volume 4 or volume 3. We're on volume 4 now. And so for volume 4, I just didn't even get all that. And so instead, what we're doing, what's ended up working the best for us in particular, is that we listen to one of the stories, and then I have each of them get up and kind of do a little oral presentation and say what they remembered of that story. So they narrate orally. And even for like my oldest son, who's got a language disorder, and when we first started using Story of the World, when we started homeschooling, listening to him, so it was really difficult for him to get anything out of it. And so I actually had to have him read with me, even though he was not reading at that level yet. When he was in first grade, that was the only way he was taking in some of the information. But as he's gone older, and as we've focused more on trying to get some of that information into our heads, then he's really improved. And now he loves doing the oral narration. I actually have to set a timer now, especially for him, like a 2-minute timer. It's like, okay, you say what you're going to say in 2 minutes. And he gets up and he does this weird kind of ghetto talk presentation. Like he doesn't speak like that any other time except giving the presentation. And he does a good job. He's real funny about it. So this is not for credit. This is just for our own edification. And so we're just listening to the audiobook. I put it up on the screen with I use Mac products, and we have Apple TVs all over the place, and I use iPads. So I used our Apple TV, as a sort of digital whiteboard, and I love it. It's been great. So I have the tablet version of the textbook, which I put up on the screen. I mirror my iPad to the Apple TV, and that way they have the visual while they're listening to the story, and then there's also a picture in each chapter. We go over the map. There's at least one map for each chapter, and before we listen to the audiobook, we go over all that, get a little bit of geography in, and listen to the story, do some narration, listen to the story, next story, do some narration, and easy peasy. So this is the 4th volume. I'm determined to finish it this school year because I want to do some other things for world history next year. But this is not for credit. This is just something we're doing together as a family in the easiest way possible for us. And it's been working out pretty well. All right, so on to science. So again, we're using the AAGH curriculum for science, and he's doing biology this year. And this one has been working out really well. I am adding a lab portion to this. This curriculum has videos where you watch dissections. And so there's a video element to it. But I've also ordered, like recently, he watched videos for dissecting a frog. So they went through that, and that's over the course of a few videos, I think. But I've ordered from Home Science Tools, I think it was, a kit for dissecting a frog, which I've had for a while, and I keep putting off doing it because one of my youngest son really loves animals and he loves frogs, and he's like, no, you can't cut up a frog, but we're gonna do it. And so I'm gonna add a lab portion to this, and this is gonna be for 1 credit as well. Did I tell you the last one was? What did we just? Okay, yeah. So the world history we're not doing for credit, but for science this is going to be 1 credit, and I'm adding this lab portion. So I'm actually looking forward to doing the dissections with him. Kind of dreading it, kind of looking forward to it. He's dreading it a little bit, but it'll be a good experience. So this one's working out really well for him. He really finds it to be interesting. So 1 credit for biology. Now for foreign language, the bane of my existence. I already feel my blood pressure going up just getting ready to talk about it. Okay, so again, we're using the AAGH curriculum for Spanish. It looks a little bit different. They're calling these, so we're doing Spanish 1, and they call these activity packs instead of PACES. Whew. Okay, so like I mentioned, my son is neurodivergent, and especially when it comes to language, he struggles. And I have tried many things to teach Spanish, but learning a foreign language, like I really wish this wasn't a requirement, because for high school, graduate high school, and I understand it is good, but I'm really struggling with it. He was struggling with this a lot. Me working with him wasn't working. So I'm trying to do some different things with Spanish now. One thought I have, like, it was going too fast for him. It was learn the vocabulary and all the conjugations and all. He just has trouble he's got a language disorder. He's got a lot of trouble getting that in his head and processing it and then using it right away. So I feel like the pacing of this is too fast for him, and probably any Spanish. I actually thought this would be one of the easier ones because these AAGH paces, they're pretty predictable in the way they progress, but it's just been a nightmare. So what I'm doing right now is I decided to, if we did all the Spanish 1, that would be 1 credit. So that would be 1 foreign language credit. But we can't do this at that pace, at the pacing set by the curriculum. So one thought I had was we'll just do half of the curriculum. I think it was 12 booklets. So I thought, okay, we'll do like 6 of them this year, and then that way each year he will just have half a credit of Spanish, and we'll do the 2 credits of Spanish over the course of the 4 years. The thought of doing Spanish for 4 years with him kind of makes me want to do something drastic. So another thought I have is I have added on, which I'm going to go over with you, I have added on some supplemental things as I try to determine what's the best way for him to learn. In particular, just doing the workbooks isn't working for him. And so I thought, well, I wonder if I do that half like half of the Spanish 1 curriculum this year plus these other supplemental things. Would that be enough for 1 credit? But then I'd have to explain that on the transcript, and really the goal of the transcript, of a high school transcript for a college, is to indicate that your student will be successful in their college studies. And so I thought, oh, if I do that with this explanation, he's autistic and he's got a language disorder, and then that would just instead tell colleges, oh, he may not be successful here. So I don't know. What do you think? If you have thoughts or experience in anything that I'm discussing here, let me know. I would love to hear from you. But this is what we're using, Spanish 1, and it is good. There's a video element to it with like native speakers, and my first language was Spanish because I'm Puerto Rican, but I haven't spoken Spanish fluently since I was 5 years old, and so I don't speak fluently, and I'm sure my accent's all weird because I don't speak it all the time. So it is a good curriculum. I like that there's that video element to it. But in the vocabulary, I like the way it's progressing. It's just for my son in particular, this has been really difficult. So I think I have here what I'm supplementing with. Yes. All right. So the first thing is, let me see if I can show you. I realized that for him, when I've looked back, because I've homeschooled him since, so he's in 9th grade now. I've homeschooled him since he was a first grader. And really, even when he was in kindergarten public school, I taught him to read at home because school wasn't doing it for him. And so when I looked back on what works for him, I realized that it's just going straight to the reading. Like when he was learning to read English and just going straight to books. We read every day, and videos and that kind of thing, that like immersing him in all those different ways. And when I look at grammar and vocabulary and how he learns, it's writing things out. And so I'm going to add an element of that as well, where he has to write his own sentences. That's the way he's learned vocabulary best, like in English vocabulary, where it's not just looking up the word or seeing it used. Him writing his own sentences using the words is what's really helped him grasp, attain new vocabulary. So I'm having to do that kind of thing for him. So one of the resources I found, I thought, and I think in the Spanish curriculum I even recommended this, to buy, get books in Spanish to read and watch TV shows and that kind of thing, and to just start immersing yourself in that way, or your student, and help them learn. So I've tried a couple different things, and things I feel like are working. The things that I feel that are working right now are reading. So this book that you see here in front of you, Arroz con Cosas. I have it in front of me, and let me show you why this is a good little book, and I want to get more like this. Let me see if I can switch to that. All right. So I don't know if I'm going to stay in the frame, but here's the book, Arroz con Cosas. It's a really cute little book. It's specifically for new language learners, because you see here, there's this explanation at the beginning about the language and kind of what the story is going to be about and all. And this is about a kind of a little old lady who, I have to remember what camera I'm looking at. A little old lady who is an expert at paella. She's from Valencia in España, and she wants to teach the world on social media about the proper way to make paella, instead of making paella with all sorts of fruit and paella sandwiches and all that crazy stuff, which is to her crazy. Instead, making the authentic Valencian paella that way, because that's important to her as far as tradition and culture goes. And so it's a cute little story. So like right here, it shows you some words that are used, but then as you go along, You see some of the phrases are translated, some phrases I'd never heard of, and even some, I think, Valencian phrases that we wouldn't hear otherwise, are translated, and it's illustrated real cute. I like that we're learning how to, like, modern terminology like Instagram and followers and likes, how to say that in Spanish. And so what I'm doing with him is, with my son, is we read a chapter. So I'll read a line and then he repeats it after me. And I try to work with him on the pronunciation to the best of my ability. And then I help him to translate it. And so at first we went over a chapter like 3 or 4 times. And now we're just going to work our way through it. That was taking too long and it's not as interesting. Because the point of using a book like this is because you're getting caught up in a story. So I chose this book because at the beginning of the Spanish curriculum, it was talking a lot about foods, and that's where a lot of the vocabulary was coming from, food related things. And so I thought, well, this will be perfect because it's talking about food and cooking. And so some of this vocabulary he knew, or he was supposed to know, but we're learning it through the book. And after we're done with this book, then I'm going to look for another one like this. So this, I think, is working out pretty well because I have seen, as he's gone through it, that he is picking up vocabulary, and it's helping him practice verb conjugations, because we don't just translate. I do talk about it. I try not to talk about it too much. I can be long-winded and ramble, but we do talk about it. Okay, I think I'm shaking everything here. Let's go back to these slides. I do talk about it a lot. Not a lot, but I try to explain to him the verb conjugations and lead him to the translations instead of just tell him what the translation is. And I feel like he's learning that way. The other thing that we're doing is I found this show called Destinos, and let me switch to that. All right. All right. So this is a TV show created for, it's like a TV show, and it was created for teaching Spanish, and for high school or college level even. And so 52 half-hour video programs. There's all these supplemental resources somewhere apparently, but this show, if you watch it, you'll see it's like done in the 80s, I think it was. It's very clear from the fashions and all that. But it's a neat little story about this old man who's dying, and there's this secret that he's kept hidden for many years, but now that he's dying, he's telling his kids about it, and there's this investigation going on. My son said this could be a game, like a video game, and I was like, yeah, it could be. So this is free to use, so a couple times a week we'll watch like one of these episodes. And this is just recently I found this, so we're on episode, I think 6, La Despedida Maestra, I think 6. And since we're not using the other materials that go with it, because I found this just recently, and even when I look for the materials, I don't even know if they make them anymore because this is old. But you can look at it right here, resources for teachers and all, and see what you find if you're interested in this. I still think it's worth watching because they do give instruction. They repeat a lot of vocabulary. It's written, the dialogue in the show was written for a student that's learning Spanish, probably a little more advanced. This probably be better for a more intermediate learner. But we started it and it's interesting him, and he is picking some things up. I'll pause it. Each episode is about a half hour, a little less than half an hour, and sometimes I'll pause it if they're using vocabulary that we've been going over to try to get him to recall the vocabulary. So see, we're doing these supplemental things for Spanish. All right, I've talked about all that so much. It's turning into the Spanish curriculum live stream. So let's go back and continue on with the rest of our curriculum. So it's undecided is if this is going to be a half credit for the year or if it's a credit for the year. I need more information. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. All right, so on to next thing, Bible. So Bible, we are not doing for credit, even though we are using a curriculum that could be used as credit. Again, we're using the AAAGH curriculum. It's a New Testament survey. I thought this would be good for him to have this overview of the New Testament, and he actually started this year, and we're going super slow through it. So we're not doing the pacing that you would use for if you're going to go through this 1 year. We're going super slow because my goal with him is just to learn. We're not doing this for credit. And because I know, even though I love Bible study, and am a proponent of it, I know there are some people that are just not going to do Bible study like as adults. And even seasons of time that if you're like me, I'm not in a season where I'm doing Bible study now, even though I used to do a lot of it. I used to even teach Bible studies. It's just not going to be all the time for everyone. And I think that's fine. So I can see with my son that he's not going to be someone who's going to be like, oh, I want to do Bible study every day or even a devotionals, but I want him to at least have a good foundation before he graduates from our homeschool, before I send him off into the world. And so I thought I just want him to have a good foundation when it comes to scripture and in the Old and New Testament, and also in some theology. And I do want him to learn how to look things up and how to do some Bible study if he needs to. So, for example, if he reads something or is in a church and a preacher or anybody is teaching something that's questionable to him, he knows how to go figure it out, or he can have in mind, I don't agree with that, and here's why. So I want him to have a good foundation in scripture. And so we're just slowly going through this New Testament survey, and then probably do the Old Testament after that, and not doing that for credit. All right, for fine arts. So this year he's going to get his fine art. He needs 1 fine art credit. And so he's continuing on with band. So he's in a homeschool band program here in the area. I'm not sharing the name of it here because I just want to keep that private. But this is his 3rd year doing it. He's been playing the trumpet. And my thought had been that this was going to be his fine arts credit. But when I counted it out, I realized that since they only meet once a week and then he does 30 minutes of practice 4 times a week, and then there's a couple of concerts and extra rehearsals that they do in preparation for concerts. It's even for an elective, it's not adding up to 1 credit. So this is going to be a half credit for him. And then we'll be done with it. He's not actually loving it. He doesn't hate it, but he's not loving it. He wants to learn how to play the viola. He wants to do other things. And so we'll probably focus on doing those other things in the future, not for credit, just because learning is fun. And so this will be our last year, most likely doing band, and it'll be for half a credit. The way he'll get his other half credit for fine art is through this drawing class. So let me bring it up, actually. Where is it? I had it here saved. Okay, so he's doing this class in OutSchool. High School Drawing 101. It's a 15-week class, and so it's a semester long, and he's almost done with it. So this is what this is showing is for next semester, but he's in the class right now. And he surprised me that he wanted to do this, and he's really been enjoying it. It doesn't meet the way it's done is where she creates videos and sends out messages throughout school, giving instructions, and the videos giving instruction. And it's through they learn different types of drawing. So there's different units, a still life, facial portraits, cartooning, animal drawing, gridded collage. So it's a lot. And I want to say that somewhere in here it said that that doing this class will be for a credit. And there's homework that they turn in through here. I want to say it said that it's for they would get a credit. To me, I don't think it's really a credit. I'm probably just going to assign a half credit to it. It is just a semester long, and I don't think he's putting in 1 credit hours during this semester. So, regardless, he'll get that full fine art credit. That'll be on his transcript. So this is at your own pace, but there is a beginning and end to the class. There's not a weekly class that they have to meet. The videos are pre-recorded, and so that works out great for us, that he doesn't have to be in front of his computer a certain time of day, or in front of his iPad a certain time of a day, or a certain day of the week. He just, when he finishes the previous unit, he moves on to the next unit. And so that's been working out really well. So he really likes that. So that's our fine art credit. And he's also doing piano through Hoffman Academy, which are online piano lessons, which I really like. And he's not doing that for credit. He's just doing it just because he wants to, because it's fun to him. So just slowly going through that at an easy pace. I'm not managing the pace for him at all. The Hoffman Academy manages it for him. And, he's not going to be some fantastic pianist, but that's fine. It's just learning, expanding his horizons, being more well-rounded. All right, physical education. So this one's a big iffy. My plan had been, when he was done with the drawing class, then this semester in December, being done with the class, in January he would start this PE curriculum that I found. So the curriculum is Foundations of Physical Fitness. I believe it was created by former homeschool students who, at least one of them, has gone on to get degrees in physical fitness, or some related field. And they've created this program. And the way I understand it is that the textbook, so there's a textbook, and this is what you see here, right? It's a download. Going through that, it's a half credit. So just the textbook portion of it. And then you can also choose, which my son will do, I've chosen for him, that he's going to do the exercise portion of it, where they set up, there's videos for them to watch of how to do different exercises, and an exercise regimen through the course of the semester. And so I've lesson planned all that out for the spring semester. And so that exercise portion is another half credit. So in one semester, this will be getting the PE credit, full credit, in just that one semester. So I've lesson planned all that out for him. My initial plan had been, we were just going to do a little bit of PE every year, and get whatever credits of PE we needed over the course of the 4 years, by just keeping track of, because he likes to walk a lot, and maybe take a class. I was going to try to get him into a class, try to get him interested in a class, because he's actually, when it comes to coordination and physical fitness and all, he's really a natural at physical type things. So I was going to try to get him into a class, but I found this program, and so this is what we're going to do. But now I'm thinking I may not do that this year. Maybe I'll wait till next year, since I feel like we've got a lot going on with this, with everything I've chosen, just with him and his special needs, and band and all that maybe we don't need to do this year. I'll decide for sure over the Christmas break, but I have this right now, and I wanted to present it to you because it looks like something like a good program. But I'm thinking we may wait till next year for that. Okay, SAT. Oh, and also, okay, I did explain for PE that the plan is to do the textbook and the workout regimen. And so that'll be a full credit. And so then for SAT, this is something that's not going to be for credit, but just to prepare. So he's a 9th grader now. I guess it's next year that he'll be doing the PSAT. He is neurodivergent, and so that standardized testing, I don't know how it's going to go. And so I need to do what I can to help him out along the way. And so I knew I wanted to do some sort of SAT prep for him, and definitely take the PSAT as practice along with whatever practice tests are part of this SAT course. So I was going to buy something, but I came across Khan Academy SAT prep, and I think I can show that to you as well. So Khan Academy for free has this SAT course, and I'm just assigning, so this is just kind of the blurb about it. But it goes through, like right now we're going through the reading and writing portion of it, and then there's another whole section for the math, SAT math. And we're just doing like one thing a day in there. I'm not sure how much will get done. I don't love the way you assign things in here, because for him specifically, I need to go in and assign it. He's not very good. That's something that we're working on for him to plan out his work and get that done. And so for a student who can just be like, hey, go through this SAT prep course on Khan Academy, then it'll probably be easy peasy. But for my son in particular, I have to go through and assign each of the lessons to him. And I hate the way they do that in Khan Academy. I really hate it. It's a pain. And so I just, like, once on the weekend for the next week, I go in and assign them. I haven't really found an easy way to do it where I assign one thing a day, because I have to do that for him. And so, we're just doing what we can. That's the plan for this, to go through that and eventually take a practice test and just see where we are on that. And just to let us know if there's something that we can do for him, if I need to actually hire a special tutor to help him with his specific learning needs, since he has the language disorder to contend with, and the autism. So I may need to hire someone to help him through that. And so this year I'm just wanting to see what we can do on our own before doing that, because that is going to be extra time. So yeah, is that everything? All right, so I just want to let you know that I do have this portion on my YouTube channel. I do have playlists on my YouTube channel where we go over curriculum choices. I've created playlists of curriculum choice videos I've created in the past for different grades. I also have playlists for curriculum reviews, and I've broken them down by subject. If I've mentioned anything here that you would like to see a review on, let me know, and I'll be happy to do it. Or give a little more detail, maybe in how I lesson plan and all. I do like to give detailed reviews on how I actually use curriculum. And so let me know. I don't know, unless you tell me, if you want more in-depth look at any curriculum. But some of the things I may have done a review on. So go ahead and take a look at these playlists to see if I've created a review on anything that you might be interested in. Like Matthew C, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I've done a review of that. And also the IEW. I've done some IEW reviews. So take a look at that. I haven't done it specifically for the Bible-based writing, but I want to say I've done it for one of those theme-based writings. It'll give you an idea. So let me know if you'd like me to do a review on anything specific. And also please let me know if you have any thoughts about how to get that those foreign language credits for a student who really struggles in that area. Because that's been the biggie for us this year. And I do have to, every day I have to sit with him to do Spanish, and that's not something that I was expecting. So it's been a huge time suck for me personally. Besides my son, and he just hates it. I'm surprised by how much he's liking this, although he acts like he doesn't. And also Destinos. And something else I've done for Spanish is I did find, before I found Destinos, I on YouTube, he loves to watch YouTube gaming videos. So I found a video on YouTube, a Mr. Beast video, I think it was, where I think it was Mr. Beast playing Minecraft, and where it was dubbed in Spanish. And so I had him watch that, and he loved that. And he's like, wow, I'm surprised with how much I know what's going on. So that may be something I need to do more of, since it's something that he loves. I like to connect difficult areas with things activities that they love. And so that really kept his attention. So, but since normally I lesson plan all of that out during the summer, and since I'm having to figure this out during the school year, is more difficult because I have to take time out from whatever else, teaching all the kids and all the life things, in order to then go and like find videos and add them to the lesson planner. And so it's been kind of a pain. But I just need to do what I can to help him. So let me know if you have any thoughts. I will be doing another live probably next week, or maybe later on this week. I don't know. Depends on what's going on. Probably for my 6th grader next, to go over curriculum choices for him. And at the same time, I am also still working on ChatGPT videos. The one I'm working on right now is for how to create a novel study using ChatGPT. But that takes more time to get done. And so I thought we could just do these lives to knock out these curriculum choice videos or anything like that we can talk about, that we can just get done quickly. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful evening or rest of the day. If I will have this video available, or this live available for replay, and I'll try to put the chapter markers and all in. So if you want to come back and refer to it later, you can. I'll go work on that now. And have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.